Well, this video is a continuation of the last couple of videos that talk about evidence that the New Testament really is a reasonably reliable historical document. This one's point number 2, the external evidence test. I had a friend one time who asked me the question, are there any non-Christian eyewitnesses to the resurrection who wrote about it and we can see them? Because of course Christians are going to be biased and they're going to write biased reports. So were there any non-Christian eyewitnesses of the resurrection? I turned to him and I said, hey, well, you're somebody who's a non-Christian, right? Right. If you were an eyewitness to a resurrection, how long would you continue to be a non-Christian source? And he realized, I guess I wouldn't continue to be a non-Christian source very long. It's unreasonable to ask for a non-Christian eyewitness to the resurrection. But what you can do is say, were there any non-Christians that were around at the time that could corroborate some of the evidence that you see in the Bible, particularly around the life of Jesus? Now, the truth of the matter is that there's tons of archaeological evidence. It's hard to find an ancient document that is as accurate as the Bible is in terms of raw amounts of archaeological data. That is, cities were the places that you said they were, the rulers who were said to be in place really were in place. As a matter of fact, for years and years, for decades, archaeologists have used the Bible as a place to learn where they should dig to find out more information about things that were happening during the time. That's how strong the archaeological evidence for the Bible is. But in addition to archaeological evidence, there's also historical evidence. Just looking at the life of Jesus, for example, there were 4 people who were non-Christians that wrote within a century of Jesus' life about Jesus and his followers. And these 4 people were Josephus, who was a Jewish historian that wrote both for Israel and for Rome, then Pliny the Younger, Suetonius, and Tacitus, all of whom were Roman historians that were contemporaries or just after being contemporaries of Jesus. And these people have written broader histories that include Jesus in their history. Now, it's notable that Jesus is included anywhere in history. Because remember, Jesus was a religious figure. Religious figures were not widely written about. Jesus was active only for a short period of time, only about 3 years, so why would he catch the attention of a broader historian? And third, Jesus was alive and active in Israel, which was in an obscure corner of the Roman Empire that was rarely written about anyway. So the fact that we have any writings about Jesus from a secular viewpoint is amazing. The fact that we have 4 sources is utterly astounding. And these 4 sources can confirm a few key things about Jesus. One is that Jesus was a historical person. A historical person. He was real. It wasn't something that was made up by his followers. He was a real historical person. Second of all, Jesus was called the Christ, or he was believed to be the Messiah of the Jews. Jesus claimed to be God, God in the flesh, who came to earth to communicate to us about God. Next, Jesus was purported to have done miracles. They didn't see the miracles, but at least these secular sources reported that Jesus' followers said he did miracles, even in the first century. It wasn't a myth that was made up decades later or hundreds of years later. The original followers of Jesus claimed that. In addition to that, Pilate was the governor when Jesus died, just like it says in the Bible. And Jesus was executed as a criminal. It even says he was executed in Judea as a criminal. And then finally, Jesus' followers believed that he rose. That he rose from the dead, triumphing over the grave. And that those followers worshiped Jesus as God, as he claimed to be, and as the one who rose from the dead. All of this aligns perfectly with what you find in the Bible. Now, does that prove it really happened? No. But what it does prove is that there is an extremely strong amount of external evidence where people outside of the Bible can corroborate certain details that you find in the Bible, and that puts the Bible at the very top of its class in terms of being able to be a book that has strong marks in terms of external evidence.